The Blind Side is a 2009 semi-biographical American film based on the book The Blind Side: Evolution of a Game by Michael Lewis. The film focuses on the evolution of a black teenager named Michael Oher and his football career and his relationship with the family, the Tuohys, and the community that helped support him and build the successful future and career he has now. The film details Oher's transition from a lost teenager and student athlete to a driven young man and successful coveted contender in collegiate football. It depicts how he learned to fight the barriers and disprove the odds that his impoverished upbringing established, and how he became the first-round draft pick for the Baltimore Ravens and created a successful future for himself. We chose this movie as it perfectly captured the sociological aspects of sport and the impact it has on athletes and supporters' lives. Specifically, we focused on analyzing how this film captured the sociological concepts of power of sport, socialization, race and culture, social class, and education from high school to college in regards to sport. Furthermore, we analyzed how different sociological theories, such as cultural, interactionist, structural, social conflict theories, were portrayed and depicted in the film in regards to the connection between Oher's life and his athletic career.
The power of sports is shown what it can do in the lives of anyone. In the movie The Blind Side, it was based on the true story of a young foster boy who was taken in by a wealthy family. In our class lectures, we discussed how sports are socially significant, nationally, and even internationally. In this point of view, we can notice that football allowed Michael to stand out and allowed him to show his ability of what he can do. Michael was different, but that didn't matter. With the power of sports, he showed his ability and his greatness at the end of the movie, and even throughout the movie. The movie went against the idea of the power in the hands of the wealthy. Alfred was a child who never had the training and practice like the students who were playing with at the private school, but showed he was better and just as good as the other students. He also went against the racial class ideologies. Racial ideology is defined as assumptions about character traits, and class ideology is defined as ideas and beliefs about economic inequalities, which were all fought in the movie. Also in Chapter 1, meritocracy is defined as wealth and power are earned by hardworking people with good character, or poverty reflects lack of character, qualifications, and willingness to work, or anything can be achieved through the hard work. But the movie showed most of and represented it that anything can be achieved through hard work, and it went against wealth and power that are earned by hardworking people with good character, and poverty reflects lack of character, qualifications, and willingness to work.
Chapter 3: Sports and Socialization. This movie emphasizes the relationship between sports and health, more specifically obesity. In the textbook, it says that young men who play line positions on high school football teams regularly have obesity rates that are twice as high as others of their age. In the beginning dialogue, Leanne talks about the importance of a linebacker and their physique. The ideal left tackle is big, but a lot of people are big. He's wide in the butt and massive in the thighs. He has long arms and giant hands. Even though Michael became a great football player for Wingate, nothing changed for the people in his hometown. Due to Leanne taking him in, Michael was in a better position than those in his hometown. He had access to a good coach, tutor, and had financial support. At the end of the movie, there's a newspaper report of one of Michael's old friends that was shot and killed in a gang fight. He grew up in the same situation as Michael and was also a great athlete. Because Michael was adopted, he was able to get away from the gangs and had a better chance of becoming a professional athlete. Michael scored high on protective instincts, and his coach and Leanne are able to use that to teach him how to play football. At practice, Michael is hesitant to be too physical with his teammates. Leanne tells him to pretend that his teammates are his family members, the opponents are trying to hurt them, and that he must protect them. Michael is finally able to play effectively. In the beginning, Michael doesn't trust the coach and is only able to learn to play from Leanne because he trusts her. Leanne was able to gain Michael's trust because of her difference in interactions with him compared to everyone else.
Differences in race and how it impacts the experience of playing sports and the relationships formed both on and off the field is evidently portrayed in this film. One of the most significant points in this film is the racial and cultural differences, especially between Michael Oher and the Tuohy family. Michael is a young black man who was brought up in a place of poverty rooted in violence, drug addiction, and a lack of emotional and financial stability, while the Tuohys are a white upper-middle-class family that is financially stable, active in their faith and community, and hold a great connection with the local high school's football team. After being taken in by the Tuohy family, Michael soon becomes a minority in a predominantly white community and had to learn how to adapt to the cultural norms that he did not experience in his old neighborhood as he was moving from foster home to foster home. For example, Leanne taught him how to dress appropriately, Collins encouraged him and taught him how to interact with other students off the field, SJ taught him the ins and outs of pop culture, and Sean taught him how to take advantage of the resources and opportunities that he was provided with. These are just a few examples of how the film incorporated the racial logic and ideology to justify Michael's oppression and depict him as a minority who is different from the white majority in the Tuohy's community. Beyond the racial and cultural differences between the Tuohys and Michael, the film highlights how Michael's behavior and mentality changed after learning to adapt to a completely different lifestyle and being surrounded by people of a different socioeconomic and racial background. According to the cultural theory, despite their common interest in Michael's natural skill to play football, there were differences between Michael's beliefs regarding his future as an athlete and the Tuohy's beliefs regarding Michael's potential. These differences are also seen on the field when Leanne encourages Michael to use his natural protective instincts formed by his cultural background to drive his energy and focus into protecting his team as an offensive lineman. Another theory that is significant is the interactionist theory, which is highlighted through Michael's character and social development as he grows as an athlete and creates relationships and memorable experiences by playing football and learning from his team and his new adoptive family. The social conflict theory also highlights the reality of who holds the power in sports in regards to race and culture and how it justifies the differences in social behavior. This movie proves how people of a white male demographic holds the power in sports while painting a narrative of how a more fortunate white hero supports a minority and helps them grow and become successful by using the resources and connections in society.
Social learning and development happen through social interaction. An active process of learning and social development can be seen when Michael starts getting involved in football. Before football, he was very shy and he didn't have any friends. After football, he was more social and was able to speak up and had a lot of support from his peers. Playing football expanded Michael's identity, his relationship with his family and friends, and his experiences. Social mobility can also be seen in this movie. Michael O'Hare would be considered to be in the underclass. His mother was in the working poor class. She couldn't earn enough money to be able to stay in her own apartment and even take care of Michael. However, the Tuohy family was part of the upper middle or upper class. After the Tuohy family took Michael in, he started playing football, and then he started opening up more, started getting smarter in school, and started moving his way up in class. Not only can sports help move someone up in the social class, but so can support and love from family and a good education.
You see sport and education, high school and to college, in the movie The Blind Side because it takes place in Michael Orr's high school days. After he became a good athlete, it all came down to him needing the right GPA to be able to get a football scholarship, and he had to get a tutor to help him do so. He was very discouraged with schoolwork because everyone just passed him along and no one took the time to see that he was smart, until a teacher came along and took a chance on him and paid attention to him and realized the fact that he liked to write. Also realizing that his talents were not just on the football field, but in a pen as well. Everyone was so focused on the fact that he had become this great football player, but none of that would ever matter if he didn't get the grades. Not only did Michael Orr struggle in the classroom, but he also struggled with making friends. It wasn't until he became a football star that he started having more friends, both on and off the field. He started off as this boy, this new kid who no one knew, no one wanted to talk to, and didn't know how smart he really was, and went into college this man who was not only a dominant football player, but also really smart in the classroom, and really embodied what it means to be a student athlete. The film ends with Michael Orr on campus hugging his family goodbye, and Leanne Tuohy going to the car and Michael saying he needs a proper hug. That cuts and SJ is leading them on the field for the first game of the season. It then cuts to Michael Orr and the Tuohys going up, and Michael being drafted into the NFL. The power of the sport is shown in The Blind Side because sports was so powerful in his life that it changed his life. From his living arrangement to him being put in a position where he was able to show his true abilities. Sports and socialization is shown by showing the socialization between Michael and how he interacted with the people in his old neighborhood and with the people in his new family. These interactions led him to be where he was destined to be, and not the fate that fell upon the young man in the paper at the end of the movie. Race in society is of course seen in the different races between the Tuohys and Michael, but also in the idea of race logic/ideology. This is seen on the first day of school when no one wanted to share their laptop with him, and they justified it by saying just because he's different than them. Social learning happened in the movie throughout by the socialization with his new family and him gaining the confidence to play football. This also played a role in the different social class because a lot of why he didn't initially have friends was because he came from a different background than the other students. Sport and education in high school to college in this movie is shown to be a student athlete and reaching the goal that so many young athletes have, which is to obtain a scholarship and also go pro.